I was so liberal. I mean, even if I did have a dream about kissing girls, like, I don't have an issue with being gay
You're
or whatever.
trying
I'm
to
not
push an
homophobic.
agenda on yourself there. That's
I
really
just didn't
weird.
want to offend anyone who was reading my thoughts. And that's actually how I know that I'm friends with you, because I had a dream about you.
I was just going to ask that. What was the dream? What was the dream?
No, I can't really remember, but it was basically...
I thought you were about to do a bit, but this actually happened.
No.
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today on the show, we have a good friend. I've known her for a year or so now. And it's the type of person makes you wonder what is really going on in her life. And it's someone I hope you guys are going to fall in love with as well. Today we have on the podcast, Tallulah. Just forget people are looking and remember people are listening.
Yeah. Which is how I lead most of my sex life.
And if on it,
I knew that towel would come in useful.
I mean, if I'm honest, Tallulah,
touch the mic.
I do respect you more on what you say rather than what I see.
Then from how I look, that's fair.
But I'm more of that person anyway. I think what we project.
That's the thing. So I have always been a substance kind of person. I always think...
What, you're just addicted to heroin? What do you mean?
Yeah, no, I mean as in like a personality, like the substance of a person compared to how they look. And I have never been a fashion girly. I find clothes uncomfortable most of the time.
Yeah, why don't we just get naked? What?
Exactly. I don't...
Should we have a naked episode?
Oh, that would be amazing.
Whip it out, babe.
I'll
whip my tits out right now.
I would whip my dick out right now. Not even. I would.
Babe, take it off. Come on.
Do you think I wouldn't? You actually think I wouldn't?
Well, I'll sit here in my pants. I'll sit in my pants and bra. Yeah, I'm not afraid. What are you going to do?
I think that is the woke podcast everyone needs.
Yeah. We should start something new.
Yeah.
I think it should be called Nearly Naked Dudes.
Right.
And you could just be sat in your pants talking about like emotional feelings, and then you would change like the scene of podcasts.
Well, this is it. You make me look at myself a bit more honestly. You kind of you look at my penis and go, improve this about it. You know, maybe shave a little bit more around
EBI,
there.
even better if what went well.
Yeah.
You know? Back from when kids ever did that in school, because I did that in school.
It's also a body positivity thing.
Yeah.
You sort of just
we're going to judge you on your penis size, but
no, I think right now I'm rocking a rather big bush, so penis wouldn't look great. So if I was prepared, I'd shave that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys who are skinny, maybe clean shaven, is
that a thing? Is that a thing?
Well, if you want to make that cock look big, you got to make the rest of your body look small.
It's all about the makeup effects.
Yeah, especially if you're dealing with what I was given as a child, you know.
Yeah.
You got to kind of make the most of it. Right.
Yeah. I have an inappropriate question. Do the curtains match the drapes?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
it's like, so you could do it like a gradient, so then it's like darker to lighter almost.
Skin fade.
Yeah.
Like Moroccan sunset.
Yeah. And that's what you should get a tattoo saying Moroccan sunset, and then
just to let everyone know.
Just so everyone would know
your specific the tone of your
to really bring the podcast down to a low level.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course you can.
When's the first time you set your eyes on a nice little vagina that wasn't yours?
You're going to hate me for this, but there's actually a really funny story.
Go on then.
Okay, so it wasn't the first time, but I thought it was going to be the first time. We thought it was going to be the first time. So I was 16, as I've already told you guys, but I was in a relationship when I was 16 to when I was 20.
Was that your first relationship?
My first proper relationship. Like, I'd been in relationships with boys at school, you know, like year 7 when you like hold hands. I'm like, oh my God, he's my boyfriend. And then I was in a relationship with like that with a girl in year 10 or when I was like 15. And kind of when I was 15, 16.
This was the first time you dated a girl. Did you date guys before?
Not properly. No, not dates. Only ever school. I had this one boyfriend in school. Again, I cannot stress enough. I was in year 7 and we held hands apart, you know what I mean? And I went round to his house. I do remember, and a lot of people will know that they're gay from the get-go, or you know, they discover it. And I always joke that I kind of fell into it because I kind of realized I didn't like him, and then there was a girl who liked me, and I realized I liked her back, and then I met my partner. And actually, when I met my partner, my ex-partner, at the time when I was 16, I'm going off of.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when I was 16 and I met the girlfriend I was with for 4 years, I didn't then have to think about it. I was with her. I didn't have to think about it. Do you know what I mean?
So yeah, it was like until you met the right woman, you weren't sure that You were
sort
fully
of
in
like
it.
I always knew I was different,
Mm.
and I was always different. Like again, we're going back 20 years. My parents were divorced. That wasn't very common.
Right.
I had this accent, and again, imagine this on a 6-year-old. Do you know? And it used to be worse. I used to
Right.
pronounce every single syllable.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And then
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I was very androgynous from the get-go, but kind of had to wear dresses because I was like 6 or 7. So I always felt different in that way. And then
you're not really dressing yourself at that point.
No, exactly. And do you know what I mean? Like, so I always felt different, and I kind of assumed it was because I was gay. And I kind of just thought, this is it, you know?
Okay.
And obviously now I'm with my partner now. Don't have to really think about it. I mean, if I want, I have the flexibility to do that, but I don't want to because I love her, and that's, you know. Anyway, going back to the first time.
Yeah.
So I was 16. I didn't have much experience more than her, but, you know, I'd kissed a few girls. I'd kissed a few guys. You know what I mean? I'd done all of this.
And how are women kissers compared to guys? I imagine there's a little bit more care with a woman's kiss. I feel like a guy can just grab in, like he's going in for a salad. He just grabs what he can get.
Do you know that feel? You probably don't, but with men, I feel like, again, my experience, I'm not speaking for the whole race, but in my experience, they tend to feel a tiny bit more entitled. Not in a creepy way.
Yeah, with my experience with men, they've always been really dominant.
In my experience, they always just bend over for me. That's so weird.
Yeah, but so men are a little bit more dominant. And you think there's maybe a little bit more cat and mouse with women. There's maybe a little bit more like, I think there's maybe a bit more mystery.
I feel like there is a lot of, not mystery, but there is a lot of, ooh, it's kind of sexy, it's kind of saltier, it's kind of, you know what I mean? I wouldn't say, when you're in a straight relationship, from what I remember and from what I can gather from friends, there's a very strict-ish line, you know, the man always does this, the woman always does this, and that's an issue in itself. And obviously that varies relationship to relationship, but the man is always like a strong kisser, do you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
With dating women and with, you know, being with women, you can kind of decide, and you kind of don't have to play by those rules. So for me, what I really like is when someone's also into it. Like, I don't want to be like the forceful one. I don't want to be the one that's taking it lying down.
Yeah.
Or, you know, any version of that. I just want someone. What is nice is that when I was kissing women and kiss, you know, my partner and stuff, compared to, again, I was 11 or, you know, 12, 13 when I properly dated a man. Again, child, but
you were dating a man at 11.
I was dating a child. Clickbait.
Yeah, that is insane.
But I was also, do you know what I mean? Like, he didn't want to be forceful. We weren't really ready for that sort of stuff. We were just like holding hands.
Yeah.
It was just nice to be wanted. And I think that is what I enjoy. Like, I enjoy everyone wants to be wanted, but some people enjoy the thrill of the chase. Some people enjoy the thrill of being chased. I feel like for me, how I just defined it was that my ex at the time wanted to be with me and I wanted to be with her. And that's how we kind of kept that relationship going. Obviously now it's so much better because my partner now is so much more better. Not in every, do you know, like in every single way she's better.
I mean, it sounds like you put her through the course. You put her through that training.
No, but like there's a certain kind of want and a certain kind of need that you have when you're 16. You're like, oh my God, I can touch boobs. Oh my God, I can have sex.
Yeah, you want to grab all you can get.
Whereas now I'm like 22.
Yeah.
I'm 23. But now I'm 23 in a relationship and I was like, actually, I know that she wants me as much as I want. Like so my like proper last ex was I was the reason she figured out she was gay.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a common thing.
Were you acting specifically gay? Like, what made her have this sexual awakening?
So she didn't realize she really properly liked girls, didn't come to the full realization until we kind of got together. And kind of, I would say probably not even a year, like 6 months into that relationship, she was like, oh, I only like girls. Yeah. Again, I was the only girl that she'd had an experience with, the only person that she'd kind of had any of experience with. Like, I was her first kiss, I was her first relationship.
What a reference point. You know,
and then it's common-ish in the community. Obviously, as you get older, it's less, but there's still people who are like, we call them baby gays. I don't know if you know the term.
No, what is a baby gay?
So a baby gay is someone who's new to being queer in any way.
Okay.
So obviously 15-year-old me, baby gay because I just came out.
Right.
Equally, I have friends who are 26 and they were my age,
Baby gay.
because they kissed their partner who was a woman and fell in love, and now they live together. Do you know what I mean?
Kissed a girl and I fucking liked
yeah,
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Katy
And-
Perry playing in the back. But like a lot of that comes with, and there's a lot of, not shame or anything like that, but there's a difference. Very diverse. So when I was 15, 14, figuring it out, I would watch queer movies. I would kind of watch it in secret, kind of wouldn't talk to my friends about it because I was, 14, 15. You don't talk about your feelings anyway at that age, all that kind of stuff. Whereas I've known people to been taking the pill since they were 16.
Yeah. Just
Gone off the pill for whatever reason. 6 months later, kissed a woman in a club, realised they actually don't like men at all. And a lot of that's to do with the pill and the issues with the pill, but...
Yeah. The whole time they're like, why am I taking this pill?
Baby gay, baby queer relates specifically to people who have freshly come out and kind of freshly discover themselves. And even still through the... Like, I would argue I'm still discovering myself, but...
And like, there are weirdly... you can tell this is more like there are men who would only fuck virgins. Is there gays that would only go for a baby gay?
So there are queer people who would... That camera's just shut off.
Yeah, just like me.
Yeah. There are people who would date freshly queer baby gays. Or it's not a stigma necessarily, but like when I got out of a relationship previously, I set my, dating apps, whatever, and then a person that I slept with freshly discovered she was gay. I wasn't the reason, but freshly discovered. And, all my gay friends would tease me. They were like, ha ha ha, you baby, you're dating a baby gay. Oh, that's kind of weird, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, even in like, you probably haven't seen it, but there's, Danny Minogue.
Yeah.
One of the contestants, Demi, I believe her name was a baby gay, and she was 23, and she just kind of recently discovered, who she was, and all kudos to her. And she kind of came in right away, and she was like, I'm a baby gay, I just want these experiences. And good on her, because when I was 15, again, I was going through my awkward teenage phase, but I cannot imagine going on national television and being like, yeah, I'm freshly gay. Like, there's a lot. It's
kind of like Harry Styles when he started dressing a little weird. Like, is he gay?
Fucking gay.
Like, is he gay, or is he just trying to attract gays? This is the big one.
I mean, that's a whole other thing in itself. Like, there's an argument about whether you can be a baby gay if you're, 30. Because you know about queer culture in any way.
At what point do you graduate from being a baby gay?
Yeah.
I mean, it really depends on like the mentality. It really depends on the mentality. So like, baby gay, for example, figured out she likes girls because she had a crush on the girl at the office and it never went anywhere. And then, a year later she started, going on dating apps and hasn't dated a woman.
Queering around a bit.
Yeah. Queering around a bit, as they say. There's no real defined line, like, again, with like the whole andro butch femme argument. There's no, because it's a cultural thing, not an academic. I mean, there might be, but as far as I know, there's no academic.
I'm sure there's
there's got to be, but
especially in America.
I think it's generally accepted that a baby gay is someone who hasn't dated, who knows that they're queer but hasn't dated anyone that is queer. So, for example, you can be 25, know you're bisexual since the age of 16, but not date a woman until you're 26. You're not a baby gay because you knew at the age of 16.
If you haven't done the practical, then you can't graduate.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's more like if you haven't done the emotional, if you haven't thought about it, if you haven't, there's certain things like searching out am I gay quizzes, or watching gay porn, or any sort of rooting really like delving into LGBT rights, which there's all like standpoints like that. But I think it's kind of once you start feeling, not even that you belong in the community, but like kind of once you start feeling that you're not new to this. So like my partner has known she liked women from the age of like 11. And I didn't know at the age of 11, but I knew I was different at the age of 11. Whereas,
did you like the sight of a tit more than a cock at 11?
I won't tell a lie. I wasn't looking much at them.
I don't think I was aware of them until I was like
I would have
14.
dreams about it.
Oh.
Yeah. And I really distinctly remember I must have been in year 7. So however old that was. And I was so liberal that I wasn't homophobic at that age. So I was like, yeah, and even if I am dreaming about kissing women, and even if I am a lesbian, that doesn't make me like, I wouldn't even mind that because I'm not homophobic. Do you know what I mean?
Wait, so you were about to be homophobic to yourself?
No, so you know when you're like, people are like, oh my god, I could never be gay.
Yeah.
I could never be, and you think, oh, that's clear homophobia. I was so liberal that I was like, I mean, even if I did have a dream about kissing girls, like, and I don't have an issue with being gay. Yeah, like I don't have an issue with being gay.
You're
or whatever.
trying
I'm
to
not
push an
homophobic.
agenda on yourself there. That's
well, I
really
just didn't
weird.
want to offend anyone who was reading my thoughts.
Wow.
Yeah. So for those who aren't religious, that's the issue that keeps us moral. People are reading your thoughts and knowing what a bad person
That
is.
is that's its own sort of religion in a way. That's interesting. Yeah. So I mean, for me, the first time I probably masturbated was probably when I was like 30. I was quite a late masturbator. I was like a 13 or 14. I had bunk beds with my brother.
I shared a room with my sister. Not to jump on your thing, but I shared a room
I mean,
with
you
my
could
sister.
jump on my bunk bed anytime.
I'll jump on you if you're not careful. I shared a room with my sister up until I left for university and when I came back.
Yeah.
So I never had like, you know, when people are like, oh yeah, I went off to my room. Do you know what I mean? I never had that.
Yeah. Like I had to know when he was out to then go.
Think about how much worse it would have been for your brother though.
Yeah, I think he walked in with me a couple times. It wasn't great.
I have an active imagination, but it used to be so much. I used to be so much more creative when I was younger.
Yeah, I think this is something we talked about before.
Yeah,
like imagination when you're younger, your ability
just
to dream is so
unbridled.
much.
Unbridled.
I mean, dreams are so much more frequent when you're younger anyway.
I have loads of dreams. I remember my dreams every single night. I just don't remember them at the end of the
Are
day.
they mainly like sexual?
Well, and this is interesting, and this is a fun fact about me and does not apply to anyone else but me. I struggle because I was kind of not shut off as a kid, but I always felt different. Kind of didn't know why. Kind of assumed it was for one other reason or the other, but kind of shut myself off. So having friendships with boys was what I was comfortable with.
Right.
So when it came to like having friends with like women and females and girls, struggled a bit because they didn't like the same things that I liked. And they would be like, oh yeah, I love hanging out with my dad. I'd be like, I see him every other weekend. Do you know what I mean? Like it was stuff like that I kind of isolated myself. And looking back, that was just me. It wasn't them. It wasn't like bullying.
You could have been getting way more puss back in the day if you
God,
made more
9-year-old
friends.
me is really such a fucking loser. Christ.
Fucking grow up.
I can't even remember the original question, but I remember, but I was so much closed off, and this might be TMI, so you can cut this out, but I got my period and therefore became a woman and had all this hormonal change when I was really young, like 10,
right,
9, 10, 11. I would say 10 years old. I was still in primary school, so I was year 4.
That's really, it's quite early.
It's
but I know
early.
there is a case where it does happen.
Yeah. And stuff like that. And it wasn't a medical mystery. I was just an early bloomer. And so obviously that kind of changed a lot of it. And the way that I kind of distinguished between friendships and what I now know in my teenage years is kind of when I made this connection. But when I was in my teenage years, I would know that I wanted to be friends with someone because I would have like I wouldn't even call it like a NSFW dream. It was a bit like, this is a bit gross. And my family, I was like, oh my God, guys, I'm on a podcast. Yikes. But I would have like a weird, like, I don't want to call it a sex dream because it wasn't a sex dream. But
Sounds
I would
like
have
a sex dream.
Yeah, but it was a sexy dream.
Okay, about a
certain someone. So I had it with all of my friends at university, and the way that I knew that I was friends with them and not something more was that I woke up and I was like,
Right.
That was quite funny.
Yeah,
even my subconscious, even like it was a sexy dream where I would like, it was a sexy dream where it was like, I can't describe it any other way that it was like,
oh, you fucking him?
I would like imagine I'd be like, oh yeah, knight in shining armor, then it ends up in like plus 18 porn.
Yeah.
But when I woke up, I wasn't embarrassed about it. I was like,
right.
It's kind of disgusting though. And that's actually how I know that I'm friends with you, because I had a dream about you.
I was just going to ask that. What was the dream? What was the dream?
No, I can't really remember, but it was basically, it's always like,
I thought you were about to do a bit, but this actually happened.
No. No, imagine. But it's always like a sex dream.
Is that how you test like your friendship with everyone?
Yeah, and so that's how. So I started off with being friends with my partner. Like we were friends for years and years and years. Like met in 2019, we got together in 2022. So 3 years, and we were really, really close. And I only wanted to spend time with her, and I had feelings for her, but I I knew it was different to other friendships kind of before we even got together. I kind of knew from the get, she felt different to me than any of my other friendships. But I was still like, maybe this is just what a best friend, like, I know it's hard to say, it's stupid to say now, maybe this is just what a best friend feels like. But at the time, I was in a relationship, she was in a relationship. I would go over to her house.
But how would you, let's think,
exactly,
how would you know?
Again, I didn't have a lot of experience to work off of. So how would I know?
Yeah, you're that baby queer.
Yeah, you're going to get that baby gay.
Yeah, that provisional license.
But then I would have these dreams about her, and it was more than one. Yeah. Which is, to me, is a sign.
Yeah.
Personally. Because I've had like one dream about you, and I woke up kind of not laughing.
It's fine. Let it out. Be honest.
And so, you did. You let it all hang out there.
So let's see. So my cock's there.
Yeah.
You wake up, you laugh. What was going on?
Well,
so let's clear the air.
Yeah, let's here. Clear the air. Clickbait. No, it wasn't even anything like that. It wasn't even anything stupid. It would just be like a random, you know how you're like, oh, I see a random girl at a club.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
As you often do, I'm sure.
Yeah. I saw a random girl at the club the other day.
Yeah, and she was a lesbian, but you still had a sex dream.
She had a good banter. She was good.
Yeah.
She had like some yellow socks on. She had like a green jumper.
You seem like a footman with the way that you said that first. But we'll get anyway, and you have a sex dream about it, or you have a sex dream about a random person. Right. And you kind of wake up, and do you immediately think, oh shit, I've had a sex dream? Or do you think, that's kind of weird, I'll just kind of move on with my day?
Well, this is the thing, me and Ben don't really have dreams unless you've had them recently.
No, I don't have dreams.
Yeah.
It's because your body's too tired to remember them.
No, there's another reason.
There is a reason. So we kind of asking you because we want to know.
Yeah. So
we lack imagination.
Yeah, like sort of like imagine that we've never had a dream before.
Yeah, tell us about it. Yeah.
So I remember all my dreams, most of my dreams. It's
just a psycho going on about like an internal
it's just me lying like that. I do also weirdly also, and this is a bit creepy, remember my dreams as if they're realities sometimes, not often.
Oh, I've had that before. One time I made myself believe that my lecturer was from Norwich. Even though he's from Preston.
Weird shit like that.
I woke up fully believing that he was from Norwich.
100%. I had a musical dream once, which was really great, but the only issue, it was to do with like an Aladdin, and it was like,
welcome to the mental health podcast. Right, okay.
I must have been, it was pre-dating, so I must have been 14 before that. And I vividly remember it was about Aladdin and Jasmine, and they were all cartoon characters, and you don't see yourself in the cartoon, do you? You don't see most people don't see themselves.
This is very hard.
Anyway,
Anyway,
and it was a musical dream, and everything was sang in song.
And the last new world.
No, but it wasn't Disney songs. It was made up songs that I had composed on the spot my entire dream.
Amazing.
The last song before I woke up was set to the tune of Somewhere Only We Know, specifically by the original band Keen, not Lily Allen.
So not the advert one.
No, not Lily. It was
the
like
OG.
It was it's not rockier, but slightly quicker and pacier. And I just remember standing on the dunes, looking out into the ocean, like singing it. And I was like, please don't go, but like singing it.
So a whole new world's coming in.
Yeah.
You're going towards that lesbo new world, right? Is that where?
If we're gonna analyze it,
Sigmund Freud would love you. Honestly.
I feel like I would get on really well with Sigmund Freud, because I'd be like, oh, as a fun fact, my middle name actually is Electra, as in the Oedipus and Electra complex.
Whoa.
Yeah, my full name's Tallulah Edie.
Your
Tallulah
parents.
Edie Electra Griffin Bishop.
Say the whole thing again.
Tallulah Edie, so Tallulah-Ede. Electra, as in the Greek goddess superhero, or indeed the complex. Griffin is my mother's maiden name, and Bishop is my dad's name, but they never married. So my brother, so there's three of us. My name's Tallulah Edie. My sister's name is Hermione Daisy Star Griffin Bishop.
You're just a fucking British
Do you
stereotype.
know what's worse? My brother is called Raphael Atticus Anthony Griffin Bishop.
Where's Raphael come from?
So
is he come from like a
Ninja
whale?
Do you know
Turtles.
there are five. There's the three of us, and then there's my two cousins on my nana's Irish Catholic side.
Am I dreaming right now? I don't know what's going on.
No, babe, you're just drunk. But I have that effect on men.
Yeah, go on. So you're one of five.
Yeah, so there's five of us. So I'm the eldest. my mum and dad are still together at this point.
Yeah,
like,
you're not the
this is
most sane.
crucial.
Surely you're not the most sane out of those
No.
five.
I mean, my sister is diagnosed, but I'm on the waiting list. That's fine. So I'm the eldest. I was going to be called Tabitha Esme up until like a
that
couple
still
of weeks.
fits.
Yeah.
Tallulah Tabitha, no difference.
In fact, I don't particularly resonate with the name Tallulah Edie. I don't know what it is about me. I'm just not that flowery.
I mean, I think if anybody tuned in now, they could assume your name is Tabitha.
Yeah,
like if
people do call
they
me
don't even need to
Tabitha
know
Esme.
that. They just know you're called Tabitha.
Yeah. I feel like I suit a Tabitha. Anyway, my sister is so my cousin Erin, who's my nana had 3 sons. My dad's the eldest, and then she has the middle and then the youngest. The youngest doesn't have any, so the middle, I think, or the youngest. Well, anyway, they're twins. Doesn't really. Anyway, the middle. He has 2 children.
Okay.
Her name is Erin K. Bishop. Erin, as in the garden. It means the garden in Irish Gaelic. Not that my uncle's a suck up, but my nana is Irish Catholic.
Right,
so,
it's a little bit of a
and then my sister was born literally a month afterwards, so they were kind of pregnant at the same time. And my mum had been reading the Harry Potter books and wanted my sister to be like a feminist and strong. And again, my nana's influence over my mum, who isn't her, she's like her mother-in-law at the time, isn't that strong. They're kind of quite strong characters. Again, whatever, they have their issues, but they generally get on quite well. And they... Please, Mum, don't hate me. Anyway,
I feel like with Jeremy Kyle there.
I believe after Hermione Granger from the books. We've never really asked her, but we've always just kind of assumed because she was born in 2002, that kind of era of Harry Potter.
Same here.
So are you really?
Yes.
That makes me feel fucking disgusting.
Why?
Because I'm born in 2000.
Just because you're attracted to someone younger than you. There's nothing wrong with that.
I can't help it. I can't help it. Anyway,
it's pretty normal.
So then my cousin's born. No, so then my brother is born. And at that time, they assumed that there weren't going to be any more grandkids. And he was the first and only grandson.
Okay.
Very important. My nana kind of put her foot down and said, they have to be named after an archangel. He has to be named something religious. My parents aren't religious. I'm not christened. I had a naming ceremony instead. For those who don't know, essentially just a party where middle-class people get drunk. And same with my sister. And my brother was going to be the last person born, and he was the first grandson, and my nana was quite dead fast on it. And so allegedly, as the story goes, that's why he's called Raphael, after the archangel Raphael. But my dad at the time was like, we can just tell him he's after like the Ninja Turtle. So his name's Raphael Atticus, because Atticus is the lawyer in To Kill a Mockingbird, or Mockingjay, or whatever it's called.
Jesus Christ.
And Anthony was my mum's grandfather's name. Electra is just a wild card. I don't really know.
Yeah, that's
and they wanted to call my sister Daisy as a first name, but then thought it'd be better as a middle name. So Daisy Star.
I think Daisy's a pretty hot name.
Well, that's what she goes by.
Is she pretty hot? Oh shit! Oh, I didn't check what age she was. That's kind of
no, she's your age.
Oh, okay, so that's fine for me to say.
Yeah, no, she goes to Leeds University. She studies
why
psychology.
would that be wrong?
Have you ever been
that's
to?
not hot for me.
No, have you ever been to Leeds University?
What is a hot university?
Okay, I'll tell you what. They're quite alternative. Not in like a rude way, but like she really likes the Smiths.
Right.
She's like clinically depressed.
Right.
She's got loads of tattoos.
How does she differ from you then?
I don't have any piercings.
Oh, okay.
I don't listen
you
to Smiths and brag about it.
I mean, so piercings is one way. I mean, Ben, I don't know if you want to pull it up, but have you ever been interested in getting any work done yourself? Like, do you like people touching you?
I love people touching me.
You love people touching. I think one thing I've always with my back at the moment is getting someone to touch my back.
So sometimes I feel like I'm not real because I'm not touching anything.
Yeah.
My actual ideal environment is a club. Like when we were in Brewers on Saturday.
You might as well turn the TV on, bottom button on the. Right.
I mean, it is. Is it not on?
Yeah, let's give that a little switch on. Yeah.
I love a good like hot sweaty club. I like feeling like it's not even like in a sexy way. I just like feling around
human
people.
contact.
Yeah.
Maybe that stems from some loneliness.
Yeah, probably. But I was always told that I was allergic to piercings. So
really?
I don't have any piercings.
So you were told that?
Yeah, my mum has it. My dad has it. I've inherited all the allergies. So like my dad can't have.
Was that a genuine thing then?
Yeah. So
it wasn't them trying to scare
you.
Oh
no, definitely not. Like so when I was younger, I couldn't have any base metal, so I was allergic to nickel. It would make my skin itch. I couldn't have anything other than silver and gold, but I didn't like wearing jewelry.
You're iron deficient then.
Pardon?
Iron deficient.
Well,
Definitely.
allegedly not, because I had a blood test and they said I wasn't. But
Your
I'm
blood's
beginning to
popping.
think-
Your blood's good.
with drugs.
Yeah.
No, but my sister has loads of piercings and tattoos, and my brother has a couple tattoos that like stick and pokes.
Right.
But I have a couple, but I got like one on my arm when I was like
Yeah.
15 because it was the only rebellious thing I ever did.
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean,
no,
crazy.
but it's not. Yeah,
Would you want to get any more?
I would. I only like find not to like
what about
on
some
my body.
genitalia shit? What about a little?
I like
on the
please
clit?
mow the grass.
Because
Or some
don't people?
bullshit like
Can you
that.
get? Can you get like a little piercing on the clit?
I wouldn't.
Yes.
It's you
That is a
can
thing,
do it.
though.
I wouldn't.
Does it
you'd
feel
have
good?
to be really. You'd have to be.
I'm sure
So
it
a
has
lot
to
of kinks are to do with like brain activity and shit like that, as
Oh,
well as
yeah.
like trauma and experience. So like foot fetish, for example.
Yeah, it's scary how
So-
trauma is really well linked with
Yeah,
fucking
so, like-
sexual fantasies.
Yeah. So
It's
like
crazy.
specifically with foot, the reason that people unnaturally, not due to trauma, but naturally naturally into feet is because the sensations of your feet
Yeah.
and the sensations for like your genitalia are the like next to each other in the brain. So sometimes just naturally wires can get crossed.
Oh.
So that's why some people are like, that's why I'm kind of into feet, and it doesn't have anything to do with trauma.
Whoa.
And this is kind of the same with pain, obviously. And that
So you
sort of
can't
thing.
really choose if you're into feet. You're just kind of into feet or
Well,
not.
Yeah.
So let's look at this woman's back.
Sorry.
Let's,
Okay, let me look at a woman's
let's,
back.
let's all shut the fuck up for a minute. And let's look at this woman here.
All right, Granny.
Wait, what's
it's
happening
time
to
for the hammer.
Deborah?
You've seen this already, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
You gonna pound me now?
Oh my goodness.
So it looks like this woman's getting some work done.
like a chiropractor.
Okay.
I really respect the straight out of Compton t-shirt on this white woman.
This
Yeah.
is straight out of nursing home.
Even better.
And you got a hammer. What are you gonna do with that?
Well,
So she seems pretty happy. I mean, do you think you need a...
Not the chisel. Oh god.
There it was. How's it feel, Granny?
it feels
I
good.
mean, he seems a little too
Quite horny.
excited.
It's quite
yeah.
horny, this.
I've always thought a man who grabs a woman's back, he's a little sexual. He's a little sexual, right?
The thing is, I have terrible posture. Even when lying down, I'm like, my back hurts.
Right.
I would love a good do you know what? My ideal is to have like a deep masseuse come in once a month and just give me like a deep tissue
just
massage.
rub me out.
I hate it when people give me massages because it hurts because of bad posture. It means like, whatever. But when it's like somebody gives me a massage, I'm like, oh, get off, ow.
Oh,
but
you
I know
don't
it's
like
good
it.
for me. So like when he got the fucking chisel out, I thought this is either an expert or some crockhead
fucking
because
weird guy.
otherwise.
I mean, like, it is weird because, like, she's 97. What's chiropractor going to do?
It's not going to make it last any longer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She's
but I
already-
mean, it could just be for comfort. I mean,
It
it is
could
just
be.
air pop.
Maybe she just
bubbles
wants
of
a
air
man
popping.
to grab her.
I sometimes want a man to grab me
Yeah.
and throw me against a wall and knock me out and punch me in the
Yeah.
face. But I don't think that's like a sexual thing. I just think I want to sleep better.
Yeah, I don't think you can pay anyone to do that unless there's like... I don't think
why
you
you
can pay. I don't think you
Okay.
can pay for that. But I'm sure there's some things on the black market.
I'm fairly sure if I put it on like the dark web and just like sign up to a
yeah.
website, somebody would do it for free.
Why don't you just get a friend to do it?
Yeah, but then
I'm-
what if it goes wrong and they go for battery and assault? You know what I
True,
mean?
true.
Mm.
Like I would never put Eddie in that position. I would put him in a lot of positions,
Yeah.
but I would never take him to prison.
I mean, talking about statistics, do you know that lesbian marriages are the worst statistical marriages?
Highest in divorce.
Highest in divorce.
And I don't-
above men
Yeah.
and gay men.
Yeah, and I genuinely, I've been thinking about this a lot, and it's because...
Pull up, Ben. Pull up lesbian divorce statistics.
So, in my opinion / experience, but not really experience, lesbian women or people who are in women and women relationships, long-term marriages and stuff, do tend to be originally, like at the beginning, do tend to rush into it more, like the U-Haul lesbian thing. That's a real thing. Like I moved in with my partner after 6 months, and we lived on a
Why
boat.
do lesbians move in so quick?
I think half of it. Well, I mean, my experience, it was I didn't want to live at home anymore, couldn't do it. Like I wanted to get out. I think as well, like, because a lot of society kind of you know, it's like the man coming home and the man's messy and the man's this and the man's that. And
Right.
if there isn't that man there,
It's bliss.
it's kind of, yeah, you would
There's
imagine
no mess.
so, but like people are still people. Like I'm still really messy.
Right.
And like I forget to do the dishes and I
Mm.
don't like doing this. I don't really like cleaning up. And so in that sense, I'm the man. But because women tend to be overall more emotional or more, you know, willing to share their emotions. So you're like, oh my God, I'm falling in love with you after the 6 months. Oh my God, I'm falling in love with you. Whereas like if I was dating a man, but like, you know,
So maybe
in that fucking scenario that will never happen, but you know what I mean?
maybe. So yeah, you're emotional, and that means you collide and you integrate together better. But maybe that honesty emotionally means it probably ends quicker because you reveal honesty.
It escalates quicker.
More frequently, right?
Yeah, so it escalates quicker for sure. Obviously, not every single person.
Right, yeah.
But, you know.
Generally here it does matter.
Generally.
I mean, we got on Reddit here. What a great source.
What a great source of information.
According
Just
to
above
statistics,
Wikipedia.
to the Office of National Statistics, in 2019, 50% of the same-sex marriages were between women. Right, okay. However, the divorce rate for lesbians was much higher, with 72% of same-sex divorces in 2019.
78%, did you say?
72% of the same-sex divorces in 2019 coming from lesbian couples, and 3 times higher than gay male couples. Yeah.
Yeah. I think. I mean, again, I can't speak for all lesbians, and I'm doing a psychology degree, but I may not have a degree after this. I think a lot of it kind of stems from this idea that we U-haul, and we do, and I think that's because...
Explain what does U-hauling mean?
So U-hauling, for those who don't know, is a term used to describe mostly women who date women, or, you know, a women and women relationship, where you move very quickly and you end up moving in together and you end up sharing a life together, like an integrated, like coupled life together very quickly.
Like you're at Disneyland and you got a fast track.
Yeah, essentially.
You get straight to the front of the line.
I moved in with my partner after 6 months and we lived on a boat. Somebody would say that was U-hauling. We had known each other for 3 years prior.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
You guys like a cyber sitcom.
But like
2 lesbian couples move into a canal boat.
Look, the first episode's already written, and in my draft I did it whilst drunk, and I can't talk about it, but it's not my point. Anyway, but like there have been instances where I think as well, women who date women or lesbians or, you know, whatever. I'm not saying they're less toxic than men. I'm not saying that. I just feel like societal-wise, in a relationship, because it's already going against the standards, there are no standards to live up to.
Right.
So, like, I pay the bills. Well, no, I don't pay the bills, but I call up the council tax every month and pay the council tax bill. I do the cleaning. My partner does the hoovering. My partner makes the bed.
Yeah,
My
there's
partner
no
does the washing.
pre-existing.
Yeah, there's no, like...
convention.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she is wonderful and amazing, and honestly, I'm so grateful that she's in my life and we have this life. And I'm also grateful that we don't have to live up to any standards previous to anything. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like obviously everyone gets into that honeymoon phase. And I feel like sometimes lesbian relationships, especially, again, watch I Kissed a Girl series, you'll kind of understand what I mean when I say U-hauling is a massive thing. But when you get into those instances of those honeymoon phases and you actually feel like you can communicate more with your partner, again, not to stereotype, but obviously men are maybe not as good as communicating.
Oh yeah, no, that's fair
I feel
to
like
say.
that in itself makes you want to push things further, makes you want to do more things. Like,
and it makes things move quicker. So in the long term, if it's not going to work out, you probably figure out that sooner.
And that's probably
right.
Like, I know that a lot of reasons for gay divorce back in 2015, 2016 is because people could get married in 2014.
Right.
So anyone who was together for a long period of time got married because they didn't know if the law was going to change. And the same as America, like the same pattern kind of shows.
Right.
And any other country that kind of legalizes same-sex marriage.
Legislation
so you see like a
always,
massive
like,
uptake
drives,
and you see a massive drop in divorce, massive rise in divorce. And I think that can kind of be attributed to, you don't know if the law's going to change, like you want the rights. Like I didn't, like my parents weren't married, weren't ever married, ended kind of badly. They don't plan on getting married to their respective partners, my stepmom, my stepdad, whatever. Like marriage isn't really their thing.
Right.
And so I didn't grow up with marriage. The only reason I would want to get married is for the legal rights I would have in other countries.
Okay.
Like if we went to holiday in America and God forbid Sophie got sick, you know, in some states I might not be able to go and visit her, even though I've lived with her, have a life with her, have a, you know, joint bank accounts, share the bills.
I would have never even thought of that.
Exactly. And she would only want to get married to show that we love each other. And I want to do that too, but I feel like we already know that because we live together.
You don't need a piece of paper telling you that.
Exactly. But again, it might be different for my brother and sister who, again, grew up in that kind of environment where they don't really see marriage as a thing that you need.
Yeah.
But obviously they might be dating, they might be straight, they might be, you know, my brother might be dating women, my sister might be dating men.
Yeah.
So won't have the same issues that I would have necessarily. Obviously, I'm not alluding to anything, but
I think that's something people forget is that like just because you're in an unconventional, for a lot of people, you know, they're straight themselves, you know, looking at someone else in a lesbian relationship, they sometimes forget that they have to deal with the bullshit of life, but you still have to deal with that.
I was a lot like that when I was younger. It used to get to me more, I would say, now than it's like now when people look at me in the street, I don't even notice.
Right.
I honestly never really noticed it before, but I think
you think people look at you like, oh, she's a lesbian, like you think people do
oh, what a lesbian.
Like what do you think people...
The thing is, I have always grown up very liberal, and like my mum has never made it a big deal, my dad, like none of my family ever made it a big deal necessarily. The person who was making a big deal was me.
Right.
And so when I got to university, all of my friends, I would honestly say about 95% of my friends were queer in some retrospect. And I would say even now, like, I'd say you guys are the only straight.
It's great being
really
your friend. Oh, I thought I was part of that. 95%.
No, I mean, with that shirt, babe.
Yeah,
you know.
I've really been trying it today. And that's why it's offended me that you've just called me sis like that.
Okay.
Don't be calling me sis. You know, you don't know what's going on in my brain. Like, God. But yeah.
But like, even like, I would say I grew up and the friendship groups I had from probably about 15, 16, very queer and very open. And so to me, it's strange when there's a group of people in a room and all of them are straight except one. You know, like on a TV show, for example. But then again, that is some people's life. So for me personally, I never notice when people are staring because I won't tell a lie. I genuinely do wear this outfit like most days. And like, I don't particularly dress up unless I'm going for a night out. Like the shirt that you saw me in on the night out, you'll see me in tomorrow. Yeah. When we go to bed. Do you know what I mean? Like it is like when I go out, I have two shirts. I have a sexy shirt and I have a like, oh, nice shirt. And that's it. Yeah. Again, I'm not a fashion person. So I don't think they're staring at me because of fashion.
I'm the same as well. I think I'm literally wearing the exact same outfit that I did last week.
Probably. Like literally, probably.
Fuck yeah.
And so, whereas my partner, who doesn't have those same experiences as me, and then there's nothing wrong with it, but like she will go on holiday and she'll notice when people are staring at us. Like we went to Bulgaria last year and she'll look up LGBT rights, like just on the government website and what's advised, which they do for every single country, which I think is quite nice in a way and quite depressing in another way. But she'll look at it and it wouldn't even occur to me to look.
Yeah.
Not because I don't want to be unsafe necessarily, but just because I was going to hold her hand regardless. Do you know what I mean? And the only reason I didn't whilst we were in Bulgaria, you know, like walking down the street, you know, and stuff like that, is because she didn't want to. And it was a taboo subject. It's still legal and stuff because it's in the European Union. But like, to me, it wouldn't even occur to check. And when we were in Gran Canaria, she was like, oh, it's so nice that people don't look at us weirdly here. Yeah. Because Gran Canaria and the Canary Islands are known for being quite, you know.
Hell yeah.
Quite extreme in their support for LGBT, which again, great.
Maybe they're compensating a little too much.
Maybe,
you know, when countries
maybe they
are
think,
like,
God, we've been colonized so much.
Yeah.
We need to make someone feel welcome.
Are a little too liberal, you know, maybe trying to compensate.
But stuff
like Germany making weed legal. Okay, guys, like we get
Christ.
your chill now. We'll forget what you did. We'll forget what you did 60 years ago.
80 years ago, D-Day was yesterday. That's a fun fact, yeah.
Okay, well, I forgive them now.
Yeah, but even stuff like that, like
that.
I wouldn't. I just don't even think about it, and she does, and I feel like the majority of gay people do. I think I'm very good at putting my head in the sand about a lot of issues, which again, if this is a therapy session, I should probably discuss. But
I mean, it's a type of therapy in a way.
Exactly. I've literally just spoken for the last almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's been great.
I mean,
so long
they
as you guys
never
have
used
something
to let
edit.
women speak for this long, did they? They
Christ,
never
I mean,
used
they
to.
should really just take the vote away.
Yeah, there should be
right?
some sort of eligibility and some sort of law behind starting a
Yeah,
podcast. Don't you
yeah.
think, guys? Don't you think there should be some sort of... I'm sure some of you think that.
Yeah, I'm sure plenty of you who listen to Eddie are aware.
Yeah. I'm talking to a specific type of TikTok
you seem like you talk
audience
to a
there.
specific type.
Yeah, there's a bit of trauma there. But yeah, so that's interesting. You've definitely lived a life to Lula, and this is something we'll have to revisit. We feel like this is a story.
I would love to do a part two.
This is someone which we will have to unpack another time.
Yeah.
But we talked about the state of the UK. You went to another country, right? You went to Bulgaria. And you
Yeah,
very good.
yeah.
Country. I mean, let's talk a little bit about our country. There was a video I saw the other week was about, like, you know, them kind of videos where people have mics and they interview like young people. There was a compilation I wanted to show.
Oh yeah, I love a
of
compilation.
like it was quite. This is quite a depressing video.
I fucking hate England. This place sucks. The majority of people that I've met in England that are English, not all of them, obviously, you can't speak for everyone ever, but there's a good portion of them that are just horrible people. The government sucks, the weather's awful, the job market's terrible, we get paid terribly. I mean, obviously the NHS now was really good, and now it's not being funded nearly enough, but when can it ever be funded enough? I don't know. No, I'm not particularly proud to be British. And we've got awful stereotypes for the rest of the world. I mean, we're the most obnoxious twats when it comes to holidays, and it's just horrible. We refuse to learn other people's languages.
Yes.
It's disgusting. No, I'd rather be... I'd rather...
yeah.
Okay, I don't agree with the last tiny bit.
Just to put it into perspective, a British man saying he'd rather be French is saying a hell of a lot.
Do you want to know? So, like, a lot of, like, the race... I mean, it technically is racism. A lot of the racism we have against the French, specifically the French, is because of World War II. Like, a lot of it dates back further, but most of it, for the French specifically, because the French surrendered / whatever, forced to give up to Nazi Germany. And a lot of people still have that mentality. Like, and the only reason not the only reason, but a lot of the reason the French are so pretentious is because English people are their neighbours. Yeah. And like, so I agree with him, like the NHS is shit, but it's not the NHS's fault. Like, I don't blame the NHS. And like, I wouldn't agree that there are a lot of horrible people in Britain. I think there are a lot of lovely people in Britain, obviously. Like, but I think that I've, until this year, really never been on a Brits aboard holiday, and like Benidorm and places like that do exist for other countries, like in Namibia, in Africa. There is the Benidorm version, but it's called Little Germany. Wow. I can't remember what it's called.
So it's similar to Benidorm in its culture?
No. So it's not similar to Benidorm, but it's like a German colony in Namibia.
Right.
And the reason for that is because Germany invaded Namibia, and there's places like that in the French colonies because the French invaded the French colonies. Yeah. And there's places like that everywhere. But I think because historically Britain has always been leading, and therefore has always been quite entitled to the places of other people. The weather is just shit, and the NHS is crumbling, and so why wouldn't we want to go on holiday in, you know, Benidorm or France or Spain or
Turkey.
Canaria or Turkey,
And that's where the attitude comes from.
Well, specifically with France, that's where it kind of comes from. That kind of mentality of like, fuck the French. But then also the French in general are quite pretentious because they see English people as obnoxious.
I mean, stereotypically, we're quite pretentious, right?
Exactly.
We stiff upper lip, the accent, like very prim and proper, being reserved.
Exactly.
But I think the problem I took away from that clip is someone's looking at the state of their country, not comparing it to others. Yeah. And they are very, looking at the small picture. And that of course, you are going to build off your own experience. But you go that and you look at other countries like America, or you can look at other countries like in Scandinavia who have a completely different model.
That's the thing.
But you can't, I'll let you go, is the problem is the history of that country, like the model of Sweden would not work in this country because it's not the same country.
Well, so that's a lot of reasons why. So there's in Norway, again, it's applied to a lot of places, but mostly Scandinavian countries, but it's called the Nordic model.
Right.
Nordic prison model. I don't know if anyone's heard of it.
Right.
But basically it's very reformative. So I think they have a lot of open prisons, like even the worst kind of people are...
Yeah, some of their prisons look better than our student accommodation.
Yeah. And better than my student accommodation because they have a reformative mindset. We have America has a very punitive system where if you do anything wrong, you get punished for it and you don't really get any reform. And then that is what it is. And we kind of land in the middle because we do want to reform in theory, but we don't really reform in practice. But we do have, courses and there is government funded practices that are for reform, but we do still essentially punitize people. But in Scandinavia, in the Nordic system model, I think offending rates are 33%, whereas in America it's like 78%. So the numbers don't lie, but it is the similar sort of thing with a lot of Europe has pubs open until 2 a.m.
Right.
The reason British culture is so entrenched in drinking so heavily is because pubs close at 11 or 12 o'clock. So you have to get the drinks in before you go somewhere.
Interesting.
Whereas public indecency and specifically disorderly drinking, is not that high in Spain, not that high in Europe, really. Whereas in Britain, there's a law against it, and there's this against it.
I mean, a third of clubs have closed in the last 3 or 4 years, partially down to COVID, but also there is less of an incentive to go out and drink in club.
Yeah, and so you can't drink on the street; it's illegal. Whereas in Spain, and I went to Italy, and it's perfectly legal there.
And in Japan, they actually pay kids our age, young people, £500 a month to go out. There is incentives to go out.
Incentives to go out. And I think that it's not fair to say that it's not, Terry from down the street who votes Conservative. It's not his fault that the country's crumbling. It's not his fault he was even raised to be like that. And it's not, Karen, who's a hippie who, lives in the fringes of society. It's not her fault either. But there is something to be said for a lot of the way that we view things could be changed with a social mindset. And I'm not saying that a more liberal government will fix anything, but compared to other countries in terms of even stuff like crime rates or even like stuff like housing and stuff, like we're no better than the worst countries that we think we are. We're no better than France, we're no better than Germany, we're no better than America. The only difference is, I think the real issue that having been abroad like 4 times in my whole life, but having been abroad and having had friends who are international students and having had, it's not everything we talk about, but I've had, conversations with them, it tends to be the way that we hold ourselves. The same way that we look at Americans as in, oh my God, all they do is, land of the free, really, all they really do is cause problems. It's the same way that the majority of Europe looks at us. Yeah. Historically, because we were the problem. Like, there's no denying that a lot of the reasons that a lot of African countries have, a lot of the issues that they face today is because British colonies went over there. And I'm not saying they wouldn't have those issues otherwise, but that's a majority of the issues that they face. And it's the same with French colonies, it's the same with Spanish colonies. Like a lot of the less developed countries have those issues because people who thought they were better than them, who thought they deserved to be there, invaded those countries. And that mindset still sounds like that's a generational thing that probably won't even die out with our grandkids.
And those people in those privileged positions like us where we have the internet, we have more access to seeing those third world countries. And we think we have a better idea of the world as a whole. Whereas I think most people have a better idea of the extreme views of both sides. But we don't necessarily have like a more informed view on like the overall idea. I think that's the problem.
I think obviously, kind of linking it back to what you said about the Tories and stuff, I don't agree with him that there are, most people are horrible people in Britain. I think we are the product of our environment. I think that's the truth for basically everyone. I wouldn't necessarily agree that the government is the best government we've ever had. I wouldn't go as far as to say that Labour is going to fix all our issues or whoever gets into charge, realistically Labour. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't... I wouldn't say all of that. I don't agree that we should have left the EU and all that bullshit. But I think what annoys me more is that we made these decisions and we haven't even stuck to them. Like, we can't even stick to the idea. Like,
well, that's based on because those promises weighted behind getting votes.
Fake, yeah.
And if I promise a certain thing, I'm more likely to get
yeah,
a certain
exactly,
view,
exactly.
right? And that's where this whole problem comes from, because I think the sentiment most people are going for now is, which is the less shit option I can vote for?
Yeah.
And that's also because less people are informed, because we've got so much more shit. I was talking to Ben about this earlier before we started recording.
Yeah.
More people are working twice as amount, more working double jobs. Yeah. So there is going to be the idea that, on average, less people are aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a scary thing.
It's difficult as well, because arguably now people have more access to information than ever before.
Right.
The issue is...
That's undeniable.
Yeah, the issue is that information doesn't necessarily have to be correct for you to believe it.
Right, yeah.
Like I was saying before, my mum works in the local council. She's very informed in politics. She was a feminist. She kind of installed those kind of ideas in me. And even, regardless of how that was done, I still know about this sort of stuff, And I'm being in the community, like being in the mob, but being in the community, there is an extra layer where, like, I remember being sat at the university watching the debate for like the local government elections, like way back when, at the student union in Nottingham, and not once did my straight white friend Mikey, who is white, cis, English, not once does his existence come into the idea that it should be taught at schools. But when it came to like the controversial opinion time, even the Green Party, the woman who was representing the Green Party, was like, I don't think LGBT rights or LGBT existence should be taught in schools, like as a mandatory thing. I think you should choose to enter it when you're like 16, which now doesn't bother me, but at the time, all that could kind of go through my head was that like my existence wasn't mandatory.
Yeah,
and shit like that, like you probably don't have to think about, but actually every single debate, like even now, like trans rights and stuff, regardless of what you think about it, every election or every conversation or every nightly news story, there's never a story about a straight white man and how his existence is like debated, whereas like with trans rights and stuff, regardless of how you think about it, it's still a conversation that has to be happen.
And there's a place most people go when you think of trans man, like in terms of like the status quo. Get in my room. Right. But the status quo is that, and that's the problem, because I think people like Rishi Sunak, or maybe even me recently, you think of a trans person.
Turn to the far right.
Yeah, you turn to the far right. But the problem is you don't humanize people. You just see a group of people as this one thing. That's it. Yeah. And that's where the problems arise.
Yeah. I think as well, like, a lot of the issues that the society faces, like the employment issue and the payment issue and the pensions and tax and all that shit, isn't going to go away if you vote someone new in. Right. Those are societal issues that are going to take years to fix or whatever, and it's not going to be by following someone else's model, like like specifically for the NHS, if women and woman couple, like a lesbian couple, want to have kids, they have to go through IVF. They have to go through, I think it was 5 or 3 rounds of failed IVF. So that either means like you don't end up getting pregnant, or indeed you have a miscarriage, before it can come on the NHS. And the only reason that is because the NHS has the rule of you have to prove 5 times before you get it free, which for straight couples could be anything from, we've been trying for 5 years, we've had a miscarriage, and horrific things that everyone has to go through. But there's a debate about whether lesbian couples should get it on the NHS almost not right away, but like obviously they'll still have to pass all the checks and all the mental health stuff and all whatever checks comes with that service. But why should they have to fork out £50,000
over a straight?
When there's no chance of them getting pregnant naturally? Because the only reason that rule is in place is because straight couples, regardless of sperm count or egg count, there is a tiny, tiny possibility, however minuscule, that it could still happen naturally. So
That's
there's shit like that that's like
It's built on a system for straight couples.
Yeah, and like
it's hard to apply it to people who don't follow those.
exactly.
So a doctor
regimens.
goes, 2 women. Let's see if they can work without IVF.
No,
Let's see if we can get these guys to fuck.
I mean,
you
it's
know?
not, again, it is down to the individual doctors. I mean, my friend's studying to be a doctor, and I think she's going to be amazing at it, and I don't think she would ever hold any prejudices. But, people do hold prejudices, unconscious or not. So I think in general, the rule is there so that the NHS isn't taken advantage of. Fair, like as a blanket rule, fair.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really consider that like people who want families, and don't get me wrong, adoption's great, and I think maybe I will adopt, but again, I'm 23, I don't really have any maternal instincts yet, except don't let a baby drink beer. But like when
you
when
wouldn't
you're in your
catch a kid
30s
if it was falling that canal boat.
yeah, like I would jump in after it. I just don't necessarily think I would
catch
stop it from falling in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it's one of those things where I don't necessarily know the answer, but in my opinion, I don't think a lesbian couple should have to fork out £50,000 and put themselves in debt when there is physically no chance.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
that makes sense.
It's difficult. It's tight because I have these opinions because of my experience. But then again, if I was a straight white middle class man who went to a good college and my parents could pay for my way, I probably wouldn't want people to have the same experiences that I want. And like I would probably gatekeep my tax bracket.
Well, it doesn't even cross their mind if you're not having to experience that.
Exactly.
Right? I get what you mean. You have a right to it because you're meant to care about others, but deep down, if it's not affecting you day to day, why would they?
Exactly.
And that's why it's important to like talking to people like you. You got
well, I do like to think of myself as different. Sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just taking the time and
no, it's all
like
good.
that.
I know we've got to head out soon. That's why I wanted to ask Talia and Ben if there's anything you guys want to let people aware of. I can let the people know.
If you see me in the street, ask me for an autograph. If you're gay, send me your number.
Yeah.
I mean, I am in a relationship, but
who cares, right?
I didn't mean
relationship is a spectrum. It's fluid.
Just like every other thing in my life. No, not really. I mean, I'd love to come back.
Yeah, you can come back at any time. Come back
fucking
tomorrow.
loved it. I know you're joking, but I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, come back tomorrow. Ben, thank you, man.
Thanks so much for listening to us.
Ben.
I'm so sorry, it's been about 2 hours.
Here. He's an amazing guy. Would you like to let the people know anything, man?
Nah.
He's a man of
Slay.
very few words,
like
but a lot of action.
for Eddie.
Me? Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much for hosting. Thanks so much for
thank you guys.
Me 5 questions in 2 hours isn't too
bad.
Yeah,
5 questions somehow turned into like a 3-hour podcast.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm here for.
Oh my God, slay.
But no, I'd like to thank you all for listening this far. And
if you made it this far, congratulations. You get a 10% discount code on any merch.
and if you want Tallulah back, then show me you want Tallulah
let me come back. This has actually been the best night of my life.
Great. No, I
Most
thank
safe
you
I've
guys.
felt with 2 men.
We are on all the platforms out there: Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, OnlyFans. Let us know what you think.
Dropbox.
The
MySpace.
No. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.